Mornings in the Brooks household always began the same. The hiss of the coffee pot, the clink of a badge being pinned to a crisp blue uniform, and the quiet hum of a woman pretending everything was fine. Sarah had mastered her performance, the gentle smile, the steady voice, the everything's okay face. She were like armor. Daniel still kissed her goodbye each morning, his lips brushing her forehead as if nothing had ever been wrong. And for a few seconds, she almost let herself believe it. But every time the door closed, she exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for hours. Daniel's control was subtle, the kind that wrapped itself around every corner of her life until she couldn't tell where he ended and she began. He knew her passwords, her schedule, even her grocery lists. He'd check in on her location through shared apps, calling if she took too long at the store. "You okay, sweetheart? You've been at Target for 40 minutes, he'd say with a chuckle. "Just making sure you're safe." She'd smile, say thank you, but her hands would shake the rest of the day. At first, she thought maybe it was her fault. Maybe he was just worried. After all, being a cop meant always seeing danger around every corner. But then the protection turned into control. When she went out for coffee with a friend, Daniel would show up 10 minutes later off duty, smiling, claiming coincidence. If she forgot to answer a text, he'd call 3 times, then show up at her office under the pretense of checking on her. He even convinced her boss that she was too stressed at work. Within weeks, she was working from home right where he wanted her. Sarah's world became smaller. The walls of their perfect suburban home began to close in. She stopped seeing her family as much. Daniel always had a reason. Her mother was too judgmental. Her brother didn't respect cops. One by one, the people who could have helped her were pushed away until it was just her and him. One evening, he came home late. The smell of whiskey clung to his uniform. He threw his belt on the table, the badge clinking against the wood. "You been on the computer again?" Sarah froze. "Just emails." He leaned against the wall, his eyes cold. "You know I can check everything that goes through this network, right?" She tried to laugh it off, but her throat tightened. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Don't make me look like a fool, Sarah. Not after everything I do for you." Then he kissed her cheek too hard and walked away. That night, she cried silently into her pillow, her tears soaking the fabric until sleep finally pulled her under. The next morning, Daniel was all charm again. He brought her breakfast in bed: eggs, toast, and orange juice. "See," he said, smiling. "We're good. We're fine." She nodded, forcing a smile. That's how it always went. One moment, rage. The next, affection. A cycle she couldn't escape because every apology was a reminder that the good version of him still existed. Or at least, she wanted to believe it did. But one day, the mask slipped in public. They were at the grocery store. A cashier smiled and complimented Sarah's dress. It was innocent, nothing more than kindness. Daniel's hand tightened around her shoulder. When they got home, he slammed the car door so hard the glass trembled. "You liked that, didn't you?" he hissed. "You want attention?" She shook her head, trembling. He was just being polite. "Daniel, don't talk back to me." The slap came out of nowhere, a sharp, stunning sound that echoed through the driveway. For a second, the world froze. Even the birds went silent. He stared at his hand, shocked, almost apologetic. "You made me do that," he whispered. "You just push and push." And then came the apology, the tears, the flowers the next day. 2 weeks later, he gave her a new phone. "This one's safer," he said. "Encrypted. Can't be hacked." But she knew better. He wasn't protecting her. He was watching her. Every text she sent, every call she made, it all went through him. She started leaving coded notes for herself. A number written on the corner of a recipe. A map hidden under a drawer. Small reminders that she wasn't crazy, that this was real, that she needed a way out. One night, while Daniel worked a late shift, Sarah opened the drawer where she'd hidden her old prepaid phone. It was still there. She turned it on, hands shaking. There was one unread message from the same mysterious contact who'd emailed her before. "You're not alone. There's a shelter 2 towns over. They know about him. When you're ready, drive north, Route 6, take the exit by the old church." Her heart pounded. She knew what it meant. She had a chance. But how could she leave when Daniel checked everything: her car mileage, her phone, her credit cards? She closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "Just wait. Wait for the right moment." But that moment came sooner than she expected. It was a Sunday morning. Daniel was in the shower when his phone buzzed on the counter. She shouldn't have looked, but she did. The message read, "Brooks, heard about the domestic. "You good? Don't worry, we took care of it." No report filed. Sarah's stomach turned. He wasn't just controlling her, he was using the system to cover his tracks. That night, she couldn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at his badge on the nightstand. It glimmered under the lamp like a weapon disguised as honor. He had the power to hurt her and get away with it. That realization broke something inside her. She wasn't scared anymore. She was angry. A week later, Sarah began secretly recording every insult, every threat, every time his temper exploded. She saved the recordings to a hidden flash drive, one she taped under the lining of her purse. She also started visiting the grocery store late at night when he was asleep. She'd walk down aisles she didn't need, anything from memorizing the security cameras, the exits, the parking lot layout. She was preparing. She didn't know when she'd run, but she knew she would. One night, Daniel came home earlier than usual. He sat down across from her at dinner, quiet. Too quiet. "Someone called the department today," he said. "Asked questions about me." Her fork froze midair. "Said they were looking into misconduct." He leaned closer, his voice low. "If you're talking to someone, Sarah, you need to stop. You don't know what you're getting into." He smiled, but there was nothing kind behind it. "And you know what happens when people cross cops, right?" She nodded, her heart pounding in her ears. That night, she barely slept. The next morning, when he left for work, she opened her hidden notebook and wrote 2 words at the top of the page: "He knows." She packed a small bag, just in case. Her plan was almost ready. She just needed one last thing, proof that someone in the system would listen. But the question was who? Because in Springfield, everyone respected Officer Daniel Brooks, and no one wanted to believe that the town's hero could also be its monster. Sarah looked out the window that night, watching the police cruiser pull away. She whispered to herself, "He thinks he controls everything. But he's wrong." And for the first time, the fear she felt began to mix with something new: resolve. She didn't just want to survive anymore. She wanted to expose him.